The year is 2025. The world stands on the brink of a new era, but not the one we had hoped for. Instead of a future filled with peace and prosperity, we are haunted by the specter of a conflict that could reshape our world in the most devastating ways imaginable. The world watches with bated breath. Every news broadcast, every headline, every social media post is scrutinized for signs of escalation. The tension is palpable, a heavy weight that presses down on the collective consciousness of humanity. Tensions between superpowers are higher than ever. Nations that once stood as allies now eye each other with suspicion and distrust. Military parades showcase the might of armed forces, while standoffs at borders and tense diplomatic meetings hint at the fragile peace that hangs by a thread. The threat of a global conflict, once a distant nightmare, feels terrifyingly real. Conflict zones are highlighted on global maps, and footage of missile launches serves as a grim reminder of the destructive power that lies in wait. Could this be the dawn of World War III? The question lingers in the air, a chilling possibility that seems more plausible with each passing day. Historical war footage juxtaposed with modern military drills paints a stark picture of what could be. The very thought sends chills down our spines. The fear is not just of the immediate destruction, but of the long-term consequences that such a conflict would bring. Families torn apart, cities reduced to rubble, and a world forever changed. But as we stand at this precipice of uncertainty, we must ask ourselves, how could such a catastrophe unfold? What are the factors that could lead us down this dark path? Understanding these questions is crucial if we are to find a way to avert disaster. The possibility of a third world war is not merely the stuff of science fiction, it is a chilling reality that demands our attention. Futuristic war simulations and war-themed news broadcasts serve as a stark reminder of the stakes involved. It's a chilling reality that demands our attention. The discussions are no longer theoretical, they are grounded in the very real and present dangers that we face. News anchors and analysts dissect every move, every statement, every action taken by world leaders. The world has changed dramatically since the end of World War II. Advances in technology have transformed our lives in ways that were once unimaginable. Yet, these same advancements have also created new vulnerabilities and new threats. New technologies, shifting alliances, and emerging threats have created a complex and volatile geopolitical landscape. Military technology demonstrations showcase the cutting-edge capabilities of modern warfare, while international summit meetings attempt to navigate the treacherous waters of diplomacy. Understanding these factors is crucial if we hope to prevent history from repeating itself. Historians and political analysts delve into the past, seeking lessons that can guide us in the present. Their insights are invaluable as we strive to chart a course toward a more stable and peaceful future. The consequences of a global conflict in the 21st century are almost too terrible to contemplate. Destroyed cities and the aftermath of natural disasters offer a glimpse of the devastation that could be wrought by human hands. With advancements in nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons, the destructive power at our disposal is unprecedented. The footage of nuclear explosions and the handling of chemical weapons serve as a grim reminder of the catastrophic potential that lies within our grasp. A third world war would not only result in unimaginable death and destruction, but could also have devastating long-term consequences for our planet and all life on Earth. Environmental destruction and footage of wildlife in distress highlight the broader impact of such a conflict. We must remember that war is not inevitable. It is a choice driven by fear, greed, and the lust for power. But it is also a choice that can be avoided through diplomacy, understanding, and cooperation. It is a choice driven by fear, greed, and the lust for power. The motivations behind war are complex, but they are not insurmountable. By addressing the root causes, we can work towards a more peaceful world. By understanding the potential causes and consequences of a third world war, we can work together to prevent it. Global cooperation meetings and educational seminars on peace are steps in the right direction, but they require the commitment and participation of all nations. The future of humanity hangs in the balance. Let us choose wisely. The sight of children playing and diverse groups of people united in common cause reminds us of what is at stake. Our choices today will determine the world of tomorrow. Let us strive for a future where peace and cooperation prevail over conflict and division. Across the globe, simmering conflicts and points of contention could easily erupt into full-blown war. These conflicts are not isolated incidents but are interconnected in a web of geopolitical tensions. These flashpoints, often fueled by historical grievances, territorial disputes, or ideological clashes, represent the most volatile regions where a global conflict could originate. The roots of these conflicts run deep, often tracing back decades or even centuries, making them particularly difficult to resolve. One such flashpoint is the South China Sea. This region is not only strategically important but also rich in resources, making it a focal point for national interests. This strategically important waterway has become a hotbed of tension, with multiple countries claiming sovereignty over its islands and resources. The competition for these resources has led to a militarization of the area, with each nation seeking to assert its dominance. The presence of powerful navies, coupled with assertive territorial claims, creates a powder keg where a simple miscalculation could have disastrous consequences. The risk of an accidental clash turning into a full-scale conflict is ever present. Another region of concern is Eastern Europe, where historical tensions and modern-day politics intersect. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine has reignited Cold War anxieties. The struggle for influence in this region has drawn in major powers, each with their own strategic interests. The involvement of major powers, the potential for spillover into neighboring countries, and the specter of nuclear escalation make this a particularly dangerous flashpoint. The stakes are incredibly high, with the potential for a regional conflict to escalate into a global crisis. The Middle East, a region long plagued by conflict, remains a tinderbox. The Syrian civil war, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and the broader struggle for regional dominance continue to fuel instability. The rivalry between Saudi Arabia and Iran adds another layer of complexity, as both nations vie for influence across the region. These are just a few of the many factors contributing to the region's volatility. The interplay of local, regional, and international interests makes the Middle East a perpetual flashpoint. Any one of these conflicts could escalate rapidly, drawing in external powers and potentially sparking a wider conflagration. The interconnected nature of these flashpoints means that a spark in one region could easily ignite a firestorm that engulfs the entire globe. The 21st century has ushered in a new era of warfare, cyber warfare. No longer confined to the physical battlefield, nations now possess the ability to wage war in the digital realm, targeting critical infrastructure, financial systems, and even the democratic processes of their adversaries. Cyber attacks can cripple a nation's ability to function, disrupting essential services, sowing chaos, and undermining public trust. Unlike traditional warfare, cyber attacks are often difficult to attribute, making it challenging to identify the aggressor and respond proportionately. This ambiguity raises the risk of miscalculation and escalation. The interconnected nature of our world amplifies the potential consequences of cyber warfare. A single, well-coordinated cyber attack could have cascading effects, crippling global financial markets, disrupting supply chains, and even triggering unintended military responses. As nations continue to develop increasingly sophisticated cyber weapons, the threat to global stability grows ever more acute. Section 4. History's Echoes, Lessons from the Past. To understand how World War III might unfold, we must look to the past. History is not just a series of dates and events, it is a complex web of causes and effects, actions and reactions. By examining the intricate tapestry of our past, we can glean insights into the patterns that have shaped human conflict and cooperation. History, though an imperfect guide, offers valuable lessons about the dynamics of international relations, the causes of war, and the paths to peace. The study of history allows us to see beyond the immediate and the obvious, to understand the deeper currents that drive nations to conflict or cooperation. It teaches us about the fragility of peace and the ever-present potential for conflict. World War I, often referred to as the war to end all wars, tragically demonstrated the dangers of nationalism, militarism, and entangling alliances. The war's origins lay in a complex web of alliances and rivalries, a tinderbox waiting for a spark. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand was that spark, igniting a conflict that would engulf the world. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, a seemingly isolated event, triggered a chain reaction that plunged Europe and the world into a devastating conflict. This event underscores how a single act can have far-reaching consequences, setting off a cascade of events that can lead to widespread destruction. World War II, a conflict of even greater scale and brutality, highlighted the perils of appeasement, the seductive allure of ideology, and the devastating consequences of unchecked aggression. The rise of totalitarian regimes driven by expansionist ideologies led to a war that consumed nations and reshaped the world order. The rise of Nazi Germany, fueled by economic hardship, national humiliation, and a thirst for revenge, serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked extremism. The economic turmoil of the 1930s, combined with the harsh terms of the Treaty of Versailles, created fertile ground for extremist ideologies to take root and flourish. These historical examples underscore the importance of diplomacy, international cooperation, and a shared commitment to peace. The formation of international bodies like the United Nations was a direct response to the horrors of two world wars, an attempt to create mechanisms for dialogue and conflict resolution. They also remind us that the seeds of conflict often lie dormant for years, even decades, before erupting with sudden and terrifying force. Understanding these latent tensions and addressing them proactively is crucial in preventing future conflicts. By learning from the past, we can hope to build a more peaceful and stable future. Section 5. The Fog of Miscalculation, Accidental Escalation. While a deliberate act of aggression could certainly trigger a global conflict, history is replete with examples of wars that began through miscalculation, accident, or a series of unintended escalations. The fog of war, with its inherent uncertainty, confusion, and fear, can easily lead to misinterpretations, overreactions, and ultimately, unintended consequences. Imagine a scenario where a military exercise is misinterpreted as a hostile act, or a border skirmish spirals out of control due to poor communication and a lack of trust. In the heat of the moment, with tensions already running high, even a minor incident could quickly escalate into a full-blown conflict. The increasing speed of modern warfare, coupled with the proliferation of advanced weaponry, further amplifies the risk of accidental escalation. Decisions that once took days or weeks to make must now be made in minutes or even seconds, leaving little room for diplomacy or de-escalation. In such a high-stakes environment, the potential for a catastrophic miscalculation is all too real.